Well, I'm with Sinead Nudd here from Isle of Man Samaritans, and we're talking about a big sort of event. It's one of those things in the calendar to raise awareness.
It is.
I mean, but every day is a day, isn't it? But
it is.
What is this one?
World Suicide Prevention Day.
Right. I mean, that's such a big number, isn't it?
Yes, and it falls in September every year, and it represents sort of a National Suicide Alliance, which Samaritans are part of. And we all come together, there's about 70 organisations involved in that, to just kind of raise awareness about the thoughts that people struggle with, probably on a daily basis, and to give them some hope that they can reach out to people and get some support.
Well, obviously the last 18 months have been particularly difficult.
Indeed.
And people who probably think they're quite well adjusted even.
Yeah, and I think it's thrown up all sorts of issues for people: loneliness, isolation, and potentially not being able to escape from situations that they find intolerable, like bad living arrangements at home, and all those kinds of things have massively escalated, let alone the kind of impact of pandemic and loss of folk and people being sick and all those kinds of things. Yeah, it's thrown up a lot of issues for a lot of folk.
I talk about Samaritans from time to time. It's always that thing about, is it the last resort or the first resort? You know, when do people feel that need that they should be contacting you?
Yeah, I think there's a myth out there that it is last resort, and we want to say it's not. It's absolutely not. We're there for when things start to feel a little bit difficult to cope with. If you're struggling, if you're in despair, if you have any sort of negative emotion that you want to get off your chest, we're there to listen to that.
It's things playing on your mind, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It starts small, gets bigger and bigger.
Yes, and if you bottle it up, if you don't speak about it, or you speak about it with people who aren't really listening to you, that can just make it escalate. So why not sort of pick up the phone, do an email or whatever, just to get some objective, a listening ear, you know, someone that's going to listen to you.
And not be judgmental.
And not be judgmental.
Because that's the fear, isn't it? That people are going to get this sort of, snap out of it.
Snap out of it, pull your socks up. Don't feel like that because immediately negates how somebody feels. Oh, you shouldn't feel like that because... And the other thing as well is we won't tell people what to do. So we don't give advice. We don't say, well, what you should do and what I did when I was in your situation, which you often hear from friends and family. We just listen and help people explore their options.
Just listening is quite an art.
It is.
Letting other people offload. And not being judgmental, not being, all those things you can't do. You just got to listen.
Yeah, just listen. And lots of people say, how do you just listen? And we listen.
How do you just listen?
We just
you go on courses for that, don't you?
We listen with open questions. So, you know, what, the what, where, why, when type stuff is really important. And because we don't know you, because we are not connected to you, we probably ask you questions that other people wouldn't think about asking or wouldn't want to hear the answer to. So I think that's a really big benefit of speaking to Samaritan volunteers. We will often be quite nosy in terms of... You know, I talk about looking under the stones, you know, what's under there, what does that mean? Yeah. What, you know, when you say this, what does that actually mean for you? How are you feeling? When you say low, what does low mean for you? That kind of stuff. So you actually start to think about the position you're in and maybe putting it in some sort of perspective? Maybe? Yeah, and helping people see, you know, look at all their options, look at how they're feeling, look at, you know, if they are having suicidal feelings. We will talk about those very openly, very honestly, and help them explore those, whereas normally that's a taboo subject. You know.
I know the answer to this one, but it's always worth asking to you, for people who are scared that they're going to recognise that voice at the end of the phone.
We take calls from all over the UK and you know, from the top to the bottom and across to Northern Ireland. So here our branch is part of the 200 and odd branches of Samaritans. Phone calls come to a central point, they're distributed. So if you're calling from the Isle of Man, you're unlikely to get through to an Isle of Man, you know, branch. And B, if you're thinking about volunteering, you're unlikely to be speaking to your next door neighbour. So, you know, I think that's helpful because a lot of people think it's Isle of Man Samaritans, it's just Isle of Man, and we're not.
Well, I said we pick this one day every year, but it is a 24/7, 365 event.
Yeah, we are 24/7. We are 365. So we're always there. The dark of the night, Christmas Day, we're always there.
And we should always put the number up one more time.
Yes, 116 123, and it's free to call.
And does it come up on your?
No, it's whatever that phrase
It's completely
is.
hidden.
It's anonymised on your
Anonymised.
phone bill, yeah, and that's one of the good things. You don't have to say where you are, you don't have to say who you are. It's completely anonymous, and you know, whatever you say is confidential to Samaritans. So it gives people lots of space to be able to speak.